What's going on, guys? Magdowan here. Today we had the live stream event for the Forbidden Sanctum. This is GGG's flagship marketing event that they do before each league. It's where they announce all the juicy stuff and also put on sale whatever packs are going to be associated with the league. And I think it was a mixed bag all around, but I want to start on a positive note and just go over some things that I am excited about. As far as the league mechanic itself, it's a roguelike thing, and I think that could be interesting to mess around with, although it is disappointing that it's not the type of mechanic where we just kind of push a button in a map and a bunch more mobs come out, we kill them, get some loot. Those tend to be the leagues that end up being my favorites, your Breach, your Scourge, but I'm willing to give this a shot. Maybe it'll be cool. It looks like it has some bosses that are going to be kind of interesting, and the resolve mechanic, while it didn't look like the chat was super excited for it, I think it'll be interesting to mess around with, and maybe there'll be some builds that are more viable in this content than they would be in a traditional mapping scenario or delve or something like that, so that could be interesting to see as well. I was excited to see that Starforge is getting a buff, and I took a look at the patch notes real quick. I didn't read through everything, but I glanced through some stuff, and it looks like the Moroi Urki is going to get buffed, as well as Voltaxic Rift. And so those are three items that I could conceivably see making a build around just to, you know, play around with them now that they're going to have the additional damage at least. And that could be cool. I was also pretty excited to see the Fracturing Shards, because that maybe creates an opportunity where Harbinger is going to be worthwhile to do, maybe even in the meta for map farming. And that's my favorite mechanic in maps, and so it'd be really cool if that was something that I could just kind of do all the time and always feel like it was profitable, which is kind of how it was before. I really enjoyed that, so hopefully that comes back. And then the new skills I thought looked pretty interesting. I'm not so much into the, I don't even remember what it was called, the one where a bunch of dudes pop out with swords. I'm going to pass on that for sure, but Voltaxic Fissure looks really cool. And the idea of it being able to path around corners and all of that I thought was pretty interesting, so I'll probably try and mess around with that at some point. Maybe not as a league start, but certainly at some juncture as the league goes on, assuming that everything pans out and it's fun to play. And then I thought the Vol melee skills looked really cool, probably the thing I'm most excited about. Cleave with Starforge could be pretty cool, and then Molten Strike was on there as well, I saw in the patch notes, so I'll be really interested to take a look at that and maybe make a build around that. I was also happy to see that you can see which altar mods you've selected as you're going through the map, and so that'll be just a nice quality of life update. And I know that I've died quite a few times throughout the last few leagues, and I know that it's because I clicked a mod on one of the altars, but I just can't remember which one it was. It'll be nice to maybe be able to see exactly what's going on and get some more information about why you're dying at any one given time, so. And then I saw in the patch notes that Tainted Fusing Orbs are getting buffed. I don't know if this is another buff or if it's just a reiteration that they buffed it, you know, previously, but either way, the Scourge mechanic, the Beyond mechanic is on the map device this time around, and so if the Tainted Fusing Orbs are good, maybe at the beginning of the league, this could be a, you know, another scenario where it'll be really easy to get cool 6-link items, so that'd be great. And then, I don't know if I'd say I'm excited, but they did nerf Pious Path, and for me, it's sort of liberating in the sense that every build that I make that's not an RF Inquisitor, I feel like I should be playing RF Inquisitor because of how good Pious Path is, and so this nerf, I think, is going to make it so that that's not going to be as OP. I don't think it's going to destroy the RF build, nor do I think it'll destroy any build that's using brands or anything like that, but it certainly will be a quality of life nerf, and it'll make the leveling process a little bit harder, I would think. And so that'll mean that I'm less likely to just be pushed into, or making, you know, pushing myself into just playing an RF build, and so maybe I'll get more outside of my comfort zone this week. And so those are the things that I think are most interesting going forward. I'm not going to go through the entire patch notes and cover it all for you. I'll let you read that stuff for yourself. And then we did get a response from Chris about both the removal of Reforge Keep and the state of that huge, I don't know, legacy bonus to loot that we were getting for League mechanic mobs. And what he said was kind of weird, and so I'll go ahead and play that for you here, and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
Theory Crafter and many other people ask, is Reforge Keep prefix / suffix coming back in some shape or form. Speaking of things coming back.
I'm not aware of it coming back. No, sorry.
Okay. And is there any ETA on the next mystery box release from Forest Bishop?
It's likely to be at the league launch or within a day or so of it.
All right. Spooky asks, Chris, can you please share your current thoughts on the loss of the historic buff to loot? There you go. That's a big one.
So this is one of those tricky things where, like, we feel people completely misunderstood what is there, and, like, we didn't want to go on a big rant and try to correct people, but we posted some numbers at some point during the league and then left it. But it boils down to this: if you're a regular player playing regular content, as we can see based on like looking at what regular players are doing, and by regular I mean people in red maps, then there is no loss of anything. It's better than it was before. Like Sentinel is higher than it was previously, and people didn't believe us. They said doubt. They weren't happy with that, so we just stopped trying to push the point. If you were one of those groups that were juicing stuff to insane degrees with 6-person parties and all the crazy stuff going on and using exactly the right league mechanics with exactly the right stuff, then yeah, absolutely there was a nerf there. And for some reason, the community like feeling about this was that we nerfed the average person. Like, it's a little bit of a Robin Hood thing where we tried to take from the rich and give to the poor, and the communication around the whole thing was poorly done. We didn't explain it, like patch note it correctly, we didn't communicate about it, we didn't really understand the nature of the changes fully ourselves, but where we got it to with the buffs we did was better than where it was before, unless you were doing one of the crazy juice situations. And so it was frustrating for us because we felt that the miscommunication had kind of... The miscommunication is our fault, but we felt the whole situation kind of ran away and caused people to really hate the loot situation more than they should have done. Anyway, I think that this has taught us a lot of lessons about communication, but there's no need to further improve drops related to that. The amount of currency and stuff that you're getting, and uniques, in fact, especially uniques that you're getting for regular gameplay involving a variety of different leagues, does exceed what it was in 3.18. It's just that if you're playing the crazy Imperium style stuff as we describe it, then you're certainly getting less, and that was an intentional part of the change.
I have a few things to say about this. So first off, his response on the Reforge Keep thing was really cringe, really weird. He almost sounds like he just doesn't even know that that's an issue or that anybody cares about that, and that's just fucking wild. I don't know what to do about that, in the sense that, for me, the response sounded so out of touch that it's just... we just gotta mourn the loss of that, and it's just not coming back, because obviously nobody got through to him on that point. So that's kind of a bummer. But then as far as the change, the loot change that they made and his response to that, he comes off, I'm of two minds. So on the one hand, he obviously took the community sentiments, the community concerns and feedback seriously. He obviously wanted to address that stuff and wants the game to succeed. He obviously loves the game. All of that is true. And he seemed to be thinking very hard and to have some anxiety even about addressing this issue. And I don't think it's good that he has anxiety. I never want an individual to have anxiety. But it was an illustration of his commitment to the game and how seriously he takes the issue. However, the things that he said still just come off to me as though he just doesn't get it. So he basically said we just kind of didn't get it, right? We just weren't smart enough to read their communication correctly, and they weren't communicating it very properly. And so we just didn't understand that it was a buff. And that, again, seems kind of wild to me. And I didn't feel as though the loot was the same. It felt shittier to me. And I don't know if it is just an issue of how many Chaos Orbs are dropping raw on the ground each map. It seemed like a much more complex issue, but it didn't feel good. And lots of other people that I know that play lots more hours to take the game much, much more seriously than I do felt the same way. And the way that he addressed this by simply saying we just didn't communicate right that actually you were being buffed and we were just, all we were doing was stealing MP's loot and giving it to you. And you just didn't know that, and so therefore you got more mad than you should have gotten. That, to me, is wildly out of touch and doesn't bode well. But what he did say towards the end of that segment is that overall now the loot should be better than 3.18. And so I say we take him at his word in that sense. I can't remember, and I wouldn't be able to tell you, what the base game loot felt like in 3.18. I played the League, and Sentinel really carried the loot. I got most of what I made from that League mechanic. So if this new League mechanic is hyper rewarding, feels really good to play, maybe this is just going to be a blast. And if he's being clear and honest here, and the loot is truly at where it was in 3.18 or above, and this is a good league, we could be in for a really good time. So I'm going to wait and see, but at the end of the day, you can't be trying to act like you're Robin Hood when you're trying to tax everybody like Prince John. You just can't do that. That was really wild to me, but I'm going to try and be hopeful, and I've got a video coming pretty soon. I've been playing some World of Warcraft. I want to let you guys know a few things about my experience with that. But if you enjoyed the content, if any of this was interesting to you, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I will see you in the next video. I appreciate you.